17th, 2018, board discussion meeting. We'll begin with our pledge of allegiance. Grandpa, can you lead us in that, please?
Yeah, pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we've got our public comment forms over here. So if anyone would like to address the board, please fill out the form, return it to the board table, and if necessary, we'll go through the policy on that at the right time. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda from the board, Superintendent? Okay, we'll move on to board development. We have our board plan, handbook library committee, trustees Bailey and Prisco.
No report.
Our curriculum committee, trustee Nelson and Vasquez. Finance committee, trustee Bailey and Maleta. Would you like to go?
I was just gonna go to that at the end, like, and then under new business, we just went over the bounds and things like that, that we discussed later.
Okay. Legislative update. Trustee Prisco.
Just our favorite federal flash.
Federal flash.
Yep.
these chairs have wheels.
You got wheels on it.
Welcome to our back to school episode of the Federal Flash. I'm Justice, a 10th grade student at a public charter school. I'm joined by Elizabeth and Katie, both eighth graders in traditional public schools. We're here to liven up the Flash. We got rid of the old people. As you might imagine, a high quality education is very important to me and my peers. Unfortunately, many times we don't have access to high performing schools. When President Barack Obama signed the Every Student Succeeds Act into law in 2015, it created a world of new possibilities for students of color and students from low-income families to get the education they deserve. Isn't that right, Katie?
That's right, Justice. The Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, is the main federal law that governs public education in this country. It was written to give states and districts more freedom to do exactly what its name says, make sure that every student succeeds. But in 2016, there were still almost 2,500 low graduation rate high schools. As a middle school student looking to high school next year, it's not fair for me or any other student to have to attend a low performing school. But there's good news.
Yes, there is, Katie. This year, states and districts have the opportunity to look at their low-performing schools, including low graduation rate high schools. They can decide how to better serve students in these schools to ensure they have access to high-quality education that helps them graduate from high schools prepared to succeed in whatever path they choose. I have an idea. Since school districts now have more flexibility on how to do this, why not spice things up a bit? Why not create a learning environment that kids can relate to and enjoy? One way to do this is through high quality of career and technical education. Katie, do you know a little something about this?
I do. As a member of my school's news show, I've learned how to write a script, operate the cameras and equipment in our studio, and produce a daily news program kind of like Federal Flash. It's a lot of fun, but it also ties directly into what I'm learning in my classes. It's similar to the high-quality career and technical education that many high school students get in schools across the country. And it's leading to positive outcomes for the students All-Fred advocates for.
Thanks, Katie. The newly reauthorized CTE law, the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act, opens the door for more opportunities similar to the one Katie described. It allows students to have rich learning experience that provides a real-world curriculum and ultimately improves their performance. It's similar to the work happening in California through the linked learning approach. This is really exciting news for teens like us. Well, it's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. For an email alert when the next episode of Federal Flash is available, email us at alliance@allfored.org. Thanks for watching.
You did better than my normal guys.
You did a good
Yeah.
job. we're all aware of the fact that there was extra federal funding to all states for the CTE program. I guess we just need to be aware of the fact that what's going on with the state of Indiana's funding, and then how does that attribute to Porter County? And if we can maybe get those answers, because they did get increased funding, and like to know, the programs increased, the amount of students increased.
Very good. Anybody else have any comments? Anything else for the legislative?
No, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Park Board update, as I mentioned before the meeting, Park Board is meeting this evening in about 20 minutes. But one update I can tell you, they did close on the Dombey Lake property, so that will become a new park, public park. Probably as early as next year. I think some of that will be ready to go. So there's, we don't have a lot of parks over on the west side of the city, so that's kind of really an exciting situation there. I think the homeowners are beginning to accept it. I know there was a little bit of controversy, but I think as they're starting to see the plans and how it's gonna affect them and what they're still gonna be able to do with their docks and everything there. But it's gonna be a cool little park with a beach and, again, something nice over there. So that's like the latest thing that's been going on with the park department. Partnership committee, trustees Nelson and Aprisco and Dr. Alness.
We did not meet. We were at the ISBA conference.
Ah, okay. Policy committee, anything from that?
Yes, we did meet, and there are some policies tonight that we will have for the second reading, and there are additional policies that are still being looked at. And we'll be meeting again really soon.
Great, thank you. That's such a project. You guys have been doing a great job of getting those all updated and done. Thank you. Redevelopment Commission, trustee Nelson,
No report.
thank you. Wellness Committee, trustee Vasquez. Okay, we'll move on to old business. We have our second reading and approval of policies 1130, conflict of interest, 8315, .01, and meeting video archival of 8520 meal charge policy.
I'll make a motion to approve the 4.01 policies.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Can we call the roll, please?
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey, yes. Ms. Prisco?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes. Item 4.02, North Shore lease. Superintendent Alades.
This is the lease update after working with Attorney Boyce for your review.
For the record, if I could indicate that I represent North Shore Health Centers as well, and I advise neither side on this lease, which is why Attorney Boyce was involved.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the North Shore lease?
I'll make a motion to approve the North Shore lease.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Abstain.
Ms. Bailey, yes. Ms. Prisco?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes. Item 4.03, recommendation to award bid for the Fagley cafeteria equipment.
As you're aware, the cafeteria project for Bailey and our serving line went out to bid. The recommendation is for C&T Design and was expressed by Mr. LeBlanc and then reviewed by Attorney Elwood.
I received a letter today to update the packet. It indicates that Brooker Contracting is the only subcontractor to be used in this matter, or on this project, and they are signatories with local 1005, 1005 carpenters, and the electricians within Brooker are signatories with local 531, 697, and 134, so they're complying with our review.
So those numbers don't mean anything to me, so the question is, are they signatory with all the building trades?
Well,
In
the
Northwest
carpenters
Indiana.
and electricians are signatories with the building trades, so yes, their unions are signatories. So
So,
these numbers, I recognize the numbers, but these are the numbers of the locals. And each of these locals are signatories with the building trades.
Those are all Northwest Indiana locals?
Yes.
so you mentioned two, so there's only going to be carpenters what did you say?
Electricians.
Electricians, no laborers, no,
According, it's on C&T Design and Equipment letterhead, according to their project manager, Josh Turner, those are the only contractors working on the project.
so if they do bring in someone else, what are our potential recourse just
We will give them from here, if you approve them tonight, we'll give them a letter asking them to proceed, but there will also be a contract, and in the contract, we'll make sure that they have to comply with the RVO. And that's what we did on the West project.
I just want to make sure because the city had some huge problems with the project and.
This company?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, no, believe me, I understand the
Yeah.
importance of the RVO
Yeah.
after the West project, so.
Doesn't matter, they'll try, they can, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
if we allow it, so I just wanna make sure that there is a clause in there that would prohibit that. And then
And who would they have to notify? So if they add a sub or do something, who would that notification go to, based on the contract?
Go to Alliance, our agent.
So are we taking the vendor's word that they're signatory, or have we checked with the individual unions or with the building trades?
Well, the process that we've never checked, they have to represent pursuant to the RVO that they are signatories.
So it is in the bid?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the bid for Fayetteville cafeteria equipment?
I'll make a motion to approve the bid for the Fayetteville cafeteria equipment.
There's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey, yes. Ms. Prisco?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to new business, item 5.01, approval of the overnight field trip, Portage High School Girls Golf Regional, September 21st and 22nd to Lafayette, Indiana.
I'll make a motion to approve the overnight field trip to Lafayette on 9/21 through 9/22.
Good motion and a second, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey, yes. Ms. Prisco?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes. Congratulations to the girls golf team taking the picture. Pretty awesome. Teams without cities that have golf courses usually don't make it
Yeah,
very far.
right.
Okay, we have 5.02, ratification of think tank contract. Dr.
And
Elenes?
as you see in the document in your board packet, it's for our firewall security. And it has been reviewed from a legal standpoint from Attorney Elwood.
Motion to approve the thinking contract.
Second.
Do a motion and a second, any discussion? Call roll, please.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Prisco?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes. Item 5.03, ratification of ad tech contract.
Again, in your board packet, AdTech is our vendor for providing E-rate services to file for our E-rate.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the ratification of the AdTech contract.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey, yes. Ms. Prisco?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes. Item 5.04, adoption of the preliminary bond resolution R13-2018.
For your review, here is the timeline for the general obligations bond, as well as our preliminary bond resolution, and moving forward with the project itself being the GEO bond in the total of $2 million at this time.
So it needs to be, a lot of this is informational, but the only thing you need to approve is the preliminary bond resolution.
So we don't have to go through each of these individuals.
And are we approving that tonight?
The intent is to approve not only, yes, the preliminary bond resolution and then the approval to publish.
So President Mileta, if you could read that, at least in part, preliminary bond
I
resolution.
believe there's a summary attached for you.
So it is, okay,
It's 20 pages.
unless you wanna meet.
Which one is this, where's
It
the
says
summary?
executive summary.
I can't open that.
Second.
Oh, the second one. I got the timeline, excerpts for meeting, preliminary bond resolution, there it is.
You want a paper copy?
No, this is fine. You okay?
No, that is fine. I don't need it.
Are you sure?
I've read everything, yeah, thanks.
Preliminary bond resolution, whereas Portage Township Schools, the issuer or school corporation, is a school corporation organized and existing under the provisions of Indiana Code 20 through 23, and whereas the Board of School Trustees, the board, finds that the present facilities of the school corporation are not adequate to provide the proper educational environment of the students now attending or who will attend its schools, and whereas the board finds that there are not sufficient funds available or provided for in existing tax levies with which to pay the cost of the renovation of and the improvements to Portage High School, Chrisman Elementary School, Kyle Elementary School, and Meyer Elementary School, including HVAC work and the purchase of equipment and site improvements throughout the school district, including paving the project, and that the school corporation should issue bonds in an amount not to exceed $2 million for the purpose of providing funds to be applied on the project, and that bonds in such maximum amount should now be authorized there. Now therefore, be it resolved by the board of the issuer that for the purpose of obtaining funds to be applied on the cost of the project, there shall be issued and sold the bonds of the school corporation to be designated as general obligation bonds of 2018. The bonds shall be in the principal amount not to exceed $2 million, bearing interest at a rate or rates not exceeding 5% per annum, the exact rates or rates to be determined by bidding, which interest shall be payable on January 15th and July 15th in each year beginning July 15th, 2019. The bond shall be fully registered in the denomination of $5,000, or integral multiples thereof, or other denominations as requested by the winning bidder, and shall mature serially or be subject to mandatory redemption on January 15th and July 15th, beginning July 15th, 2019, through no later than January 15th, 2029.
You can let the record reflect that it was read in its entirety if you'd like.
I can't,
Yeah.
great. Let the record reflect that it was read in its entirety.
And can you also open the third item, executive summary, and read that, please?
Okay. The third item, executive summary, there we go. Executive summary of requested action by the school board. Preliminary bond resolution approving the issuance of the bonds, Exhibit A. Preliminary bond resolution establishes the maximum amount to be borrowed, maximum term of repayment, and maximum interest rate. Declaration of official intent to reimburse expenditures. The school corporation pays any preliminary costs related to the project in advance of receiving the bond proceeds. It may want to reserve its ability to be reimbursed from bond proceeds after the closing. The Internal Revenue Service requires that a school corporation declare its official intent to reimburse as documented in this resolution in order to reserve the ability to reimburse. So do we have a motion to approve the adoption of preliminary bond resolution R13-2018?
I'll make a motion to approve the adoption of preliminary bond resolution R13.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Nelson?
Yes.
Mrs. Vasquez?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey, yes. Mrs. Prisco?
Yes.
Mr. Malone?
Yes. Okay, we move on to 5.05, approval to publish the notice of public hearing on October 8th, 2018, and the notice of determination.
Okay, so the notice of determination will be published September 25th and October 2nd, with the hearing taking place on October 8th. It will also be posted at the administration building, Willow Creek Middle School, and Myers Elementary as required to post 3 buildings on September 25th.
I'll make a motion to approve the intent to reimburse. Is that one?
This is notice of public hearing.
Here.
5.05.
Oh, 5.05. Okay, I'll make, sorry,
So,
a motion to approve publish of the notice of public hearing October 8, 2018, the notice of determination.
Second.
we have a motion, a second, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Nelson?
Yes.
Mrs. Vasquez?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey, yes. Mrs. Prisco?
Yes.
Mr. Malone?
Yes. 5.06, adoption of the intent to reimburse resolution, R 14-2018 for the bond.
I think this is what they just approved, correct?
No, this is
No,
the
this is-
reimbursement.
I'm sorry,
This
yes,
is
this is
the
the
this is the
reimbursement.
separate resolution. But
Yes,
again, you
yes.
can read a portion of it and then have the record reflect that it was read in its entirety.
Exhibit B, declaration of official intent to reimburse expenditures, whereas Portage Township Schools intends to finance a renovation and improvements to Portage High School, Chrisman Elementary School, Kyle Elementary School, and Meyer Elementary School, including HVAC work and the purchase of equipment and site improvements throughout the school corporation, including paving. And whereas the school corporation reasonably expects to reimburse certain costs of the project with proceeds of obligations being incurred by or on behalf of the school corporation in an amount not to exceed $2 million. I'll let the record show that this is read in its entirety. Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the adoption of the intent to reimburse resolution.
Second.
The motion is second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Besko?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey, yes. Mrs. Briscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Okay, item 5.07, custodial vision plan renewal.
This is renewing the vision plan for our custodial team based on the recommendations of the Steelworkers Health and Welfare Fund.
I'll make a motion to approve custodial vision plan renewal.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Elwood. Have we always had the custodial contract reflect something different than the other three non-certified union contracts?
I don't know. This came from the benefits department. All I know is we contract with the steel workers to contribute to their health insurance and their vision plan insurance. So I don't know if we've approved these in the past. I know it's just part of the collective bargaining agreement.
I always just thought it was part of the contract, so does the contract state something different than what we're approving tonight?
I'm sorry, as I tried to explain, the collective bargaining agreement simply states that we will contribute to the members' health insurance and vision insurance. As far as what insurance plan the union provides, I think that's what we're approving here. So it's not in the collective bargaining agreement. Again, I don't know what we've done in the past.
I don't remember approving this solely.
I can certainly look at it before the regular meeting.
Yeah,
And
would
my-
you?
Yeah, my thought is the same, you know, if we just wanna
Yeah,
get
why
some
not?
questions answered on this, that's.
Yeah,
It could just be that their contract's expiring.
that's what it
That's
sounds
what
like.
it looks like.
Right, from reading it.
But
So let
it
me
is weird that it would
withdraw my-
expire at a different time than everybody else who was approved at the same time.
Right. Well, why don't we save this for discussion and we'll let Mr. Elwood do some research
Yeah,
and bring it
and-
back for our next
Yeah,
regular
then I have
meeting.
a question, then, if that's the case, then are the other three contracts, food service, transportation, or do they also have their own insurance? Is it for visual and dental? They are all on our health.
I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'll get those answers.
Yeah,
We did have a motion and a second. You guys like to rescind
Withdraw
that?
that.
Withdraw that?
I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay, motion and second have been withdrawn. We'll bring this back for a regular board meeting. And in the meantime, Mr. Elwood could do some research for us.
and then my other question is, I know that you said that we do a percentage, so if they're able to pick their own vision exam, we all know that there's different vision exams and insurance that you can get, period, up to Cadillac, down to the what? Is it silver level or whatever they call them today? You know, does that, we have no control over who they choose, but however, our contracts state that we will pay a percentage. I mean, are we gonna be paying a percentage to the platinum? Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, I just would like all those things answered.
Sure. That's a good question.
Is there any parameters in there?
And do the other bargaining units have the same parameter?
And do they have to bid out like we do, or? Can we just pick and choose? And who does that? Is that a committee? Is that their union membership? Or
Okay.
Okay, we move on to item 5.08, ratification of the advanced imaging contract.
Okay, so as you're aware, this one was something we've had some outstanding questions on, and Attorney Elwood worked through a strong majority of those questions alongside the attorney from Advanced Imaging and the assistance of Mr. Lesich. And then I was able to follow up on one remaining issue regarding the actual billing of use as it's occurring, rather than them billing us in advance for anything and then crediting back the account. So moving forward, this will be a change in the model where they are billing us for the copies, for the printing in place, rather than assuming that this is how much is going to be used, and in the event that we don't use that much, it was credited back. So instead, it's just billed for actual use. Anything else, Attorney Elwood, on this matter that you wanted to add?
No, there were some questions asked a few months back, and so I talked to Mr. Lesich, and he indicated he was doing a complete review with Advanced Imaging to get a grasp of the copier usage and contract, and this is a result of that. And I will tell you, I'd rather contract for nuclear energy than copiers. It's so complicated.
This is just maintenance?
So this is
Get a
just
motion
maintenance.
first. And a second. Are you asking us to approve this tonight? Or we just
I don't know,
discuss?
are we?
This is just for
I
discussion.
think it's just discussion.
Go ahead.
But in maintenance, it says that includes like the toners and stuff like that still? We're just paying for actual copies?
Well, it is
So the
still a
copy-
maintenance plan as well.
Yeah, so the copiers, the number of copies dictate cost, and so they monitor that. But yes, then it's maintenance that's based on a cost of per copy.
But we're still allotted this number.
Yes,
It doesn't change our contract on our usage.
correct.
This is strictly for the maintenance.
So do all of our employees have a PIN or a scan card so that we know who's utilizing our copiers and how much?
No, as a matter of fact, there is, currently at one of the elementaries, they have the PIN codes. We're in the process of working with Teachers Association, getting PIN codes specifically to the high school, and then we're going to continue to expand that.
How about like your maintenance and stuff? All of them?
Well, absolutely, we need to be able to move forward with that altogether, is what the intent is, to move forward with the codes. Because the great thing about that is, I was sharing with Attorney Elwood, then the other issue is then those jobs are not printed until you're there. Not only do you see usage, but then, if you're currently at the high school, if you are on the third floor teaching, but you're in the media center for the week with your students, you can now use any printer in the entire building by going in and entering your code instead of access to specific ones.
So when will that happen for every employee?
Okay, so what is taking place currently, Mr. Lesich had spoken to me, because that also comes with like a software device that we have to have installed. So he was looking through pricing on those various things, different vendors that would then be an additional piece to our copiers. So it's being researched currently.
So I'm midnight working custodian, because we have 3 shifts. I just have access to numerous copiers if I want to utilize them.
Currently, yes. There is no device currently that would not allow for that.
Would the time come on there, that, what time?
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
started?
Mhm.
Yeah,
If
when
we-
you use
if
the
we
pen,
purchase it.
when you use a pen, you can get your
Well-
time number of copies individual.
Well, at this current point in time, though, when we're looking at the copies, you can see when the copy job was created and printed currently. You can't see who printed it or any
And
of
how
that.
many copies?
You could see the number of
Number.
copies, the time the copies went through, and those specifics, but you don't, there's
No.
nothing correlated to.
So if they had to log in or something, that would be better, we would know who's doing it.
Well, and the other issue with that is, yeah, you would know who's doing it, but then also it's also beneficial that if you're going there and you've printed something, you can guarantee when you get there, it will print your job and you'll be able to get your completed, job, so that's helpful too.
So did you say Chrisman currently has it?
Currently, South Haven has it.
So would that be different software then from for the other schools, or what
It
does South
wouldn't-
Haven have
It
then?
wouldn't be different, other than the fact that they have something additional that we plan to expand. You know, that we're going to get to the other machines. It's just, they had, for whatever reason, I don't even recall, South Haven was piloting it.
I thought these little scanners or pins or whatever they are, I thought the copy machine vendors provide that. That's just something of software that we monitor.
There is software that we monitor specifically to the machine's use, but the pins themselves, I can get you more information on how that works or what it is. And there's a specific, and the name is failing me, but there's a specific piece of equipment that would allow it to take place.
Yeah, if you could maybe
Sure.
do some research, give us a summary, because I agree with Mrs. Prisco, I would assume that the vendor.
I think it's a piece of equipment that
Does
the,
it?
that the advanced imaging puts on the machine. I just don't think we purchased it or leased it.
I
But
don't think
it comes
it's
from them.
separate. I
Right.
think what it is that, you know, you put a number of copies, blah, 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 well, you know, it just shuts off, and then you put your pin on, it opens up the
Right,
printer.
that's how ours works.
Right.
And there isn't anything additional, it's just we've never purchased whatever that software is to open that up. And so maybe
That makes a
that's
lot of
what we
sense.
need to
That's-
look at as opposed to an ancillary piece of equipment that then we're gonna have to maintenance now,
Right.
and it's
Quite
not gonna
honestly,
work,
that
and
makes-
it's inside the printer already, or the copier has to be.
Right, I think
Right.
it's more of a software end, not a
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
wired.
Okay.
More sense.
So if you can get, we'll keep that on as old business
Sure.
and get us the research on that.
Oh, it's, you know, it's abused.
Well, but I'll tell you, there is also a lot to be said with the idea that, and there's good and bad to these things. So for instance, the fact that we don't do adoptions also causes paper use to go up because we need to have a blended environment for the students. So they've got paper, they've got, you know, the electronic, and then they have the hands-on. So I will tell you myself, from being a building principal, there's a lot of really quality resources online that we still want to have in print. Do we need textbooks? Absolutely not. But there is also a lot of that has come to print instead of, you know, getting 1,000-page workbook sent to you. You don't need that, but, by any stretch. But it does cause some of that. Now, I would absolutely say that, there's always a way to, you know, the more you monitor those types of things, we'll see that usage go down and get into a more appropriate range. But that is sometimes some of the reasons that it goes up, but not, again, that abuse doesn't happen.
Well, with that being said, it would be nice if we did have that software to say, look, you know, we've saved how many millions on software, but our printing went up,
You're
you know,
right.
how many thousands or
You're
hundreds.
exactly
And
right.
we don't have
Right.
that
We don't.
numbers
You're right.
to even say if it did or didn't go up.
Right.
So I guess the question is that this came up because this was on a claim of overage of copier machine overage, and it was a huge dollar amount, and the board had asked the superintendent and the school board attorney to look into that. So it sounds like you did, and it was a backward way of a contract that for some way we signed of what we were doing. But then my question is, the contract wasn't up, obviously, because we were just looking into it. So is it just something that they reopened and the other one's gonna be invalid, or what's
It's a
going on?
mix. When I sat down with Advanced Imaging's owner and sales rep, it's a mix. So apparently we still had 10 machines that were free. We had 10 machines under the, I'm just using numbers, 10 under the old contract and then 10 under the new contract. So it was a constant mix. So the old ones and the free ones are falling off, so over time, we're gonna be just under the new contract. I don't know that timeline, but that was discussed at that meeting.
And then we had also asked, you know, why are we getting, it just so happened we had something upstairs here in central office with the printer, you know, by themselves. Why aren't we doing this as a bid with PTS period? We were supposed to look at where are we at with printer or copiers, PTS period. And when
And
can we let them roll off and go month to month until we can put out a bid for PTS period? Because we have a lot of bargaining power with our copier machines,
Oh my
and
gosh, yeah.
huge, that we could get these prices down, and we're not utilizing that. So,
Yeah, I
can you get all those answers, I understand, but how many contracts we have out there just with printers, where are they at, who has them? what companies are they with, when are they
Well,
gonna
they're all with
expire?
Advanced Imaging.
Oh,
is
they're
my
all with
understanding.
Advanced
That's my
Imaging.
understanding.
So we never put it out
And
for
that,
bid
and this is
then.
what an audit, this is the audit of all the machines,
Mhm.
which I thought was a, starting point for these questions.
So,
Is it
we've never
indicated
put it
in
out for
this?
bid. But
In
it
the
sounds like-
equipment page, does it say which ones are under
So
which?
we'd probably do them individually because we
Lease.
have to.
No,
Which
it
ones
Wasn't
are which
individual,
ones?
be a cost where we'd have
it's
to.
got serial numbers and
Or
that.
at least an machine.
Maybe there's like a year or
Model
something to
description.
differentiate which is the new contract and which one's.
Never realized. that.
Right, so it tells you which machines and where they're at, but it doesn't tell
It
you.
doesn't tell you anything else.
Right.
Which machines under which contract.
Under which
Right.
contract, right?
That would be beneficial.
That would make sense.
So I guess my next.
So the number one question is, when's the last time we put this out for bid?
We haven't, because I haven't seen it. So my question is, once we combine everything, I wanna know how many contracts are out there and what the total cost is. I got a feeling we piecemealed this, so it wouldn't come to the board and go out for bid. So we could pick and choose who we wanted. So I want a total cost on this, and is that threshold, which I would imagine it would be, gonna put us for an RFP or a bid under state statute? When we add them all up? Because if that's the case, then can that be bypassed by piecemealing this, Mr. Elwood? You don't have to answer that now, but I think the board needs to know that, the answer.
I mean, the answer is generally no, you
No.
can't piecemeal to
No.
get under
But the
it.
district needs to understand that
Sure.
with directors or whoever is doing this, because I've been on the board long enough to know that we were in contract with a vendor for this. And a new CFO came aboard and went into another contract, and we almost paid out this school district with the lawsuit close to $1 million. And if we're not keeping track of our contracts and who's putting what out to bid, that could happen again. And we can't have that happen.
If this comes back that it needs to be legally bid out, will it void out the
Yes.
contract? Like the current contracts?
I'll withhold comment on that until I read the contracts.
It's a good question.
Because it might be PTS's liability and not
Yeah.
the vendor, and that's the sad part.
Looks like we have some work to do.
I do.
Okay, so we'll get some follow-up on that. So as it relates to the agenda item, which is the ratification of the advanced imaging contract, maintenance contract, are we,
I'm not approving anything tonight.
right, so we're gonna save this
Mhm.
under old business as well
Yes.
for our next meeting,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to superintendent reports.
Our student interns did a nice job compiling for me the good news that they've been reporting on within the last few weeks. First of all, the Christmas Carnival is coming Saturday, October 6th from noon to 4. As you know, that's their annual fundraiser for their 5th grade trip to Dearborn. They wanted to make sure that we shared that they'll have an inflatable obstacle course this year, a photo booth, a DJ, food, face painting, go-kart races, pedal go-karts, and different prizes. Also, exciting news, we're doing a Project Lead the Way in Robotics Fall Blitz. And what Mr. Kappas and that team has been doing is getting our students out and involved in as many opportunities this fall to see STEM in action. So they went to South Lake Automations to see a facility tour. They also went to the National Drive Electric Week. They're also going to the STEM on the Road event at Portage High School, hosted by the Purdue Northwest College of Science and Engineering. Friday, September 28th, we're hosting that here in the district. Also an engineering seminar with Iron and Steel Technologies at Purdue Northwest, Girl Howard events, High Powered University Industry and Career Professional Women, and then also the Purdue Women in Engineering Program campus visit. So that's just all taking place between now and October 15th, getting our kids to as many exposures as we possibly can, and naming it the PLTW Fall STEM Blitz really got their attention, so that's pretty great. Also to share with you another exciting piece, we had the Guidance Department Annual College Fair and Financial Aid Night last week. We had 75 representatives from post-secondary organizations, and over 1,000 students attended with their families. So that was a very huge success. Also, the PHS Jazz Band just held their first concert, and each individual performed in small group and a solo. So that was a big deal, and it's been live streamed, so you can visit the Facebook page and review that. Apple sent a professional learning specialist to our district to tour our buildings, see how our teachers are integrating technology into their lessons, and we'll be developing professional development plans that are personalized to our teachers' needs and providing ongoing tailored training specific at each building. And they've met with district directors, principals, and also will continue to come back into the district. And this was just an opportunity that we sought out from Apple. No charge to the district. They're willing to do these things. It's just a matter of asking. Next mobile marketplace will be this Thursday from 5 to 7 at Portage High School to feed families. Also, the elementary principals are going to be the first group of principals hosting a high reliability forum for the parents. This will be at Aylesworth for all elementary students on September 24th. They've gotten a lot of positive feedback from families that are interested in attending that. As you know, the South Haven elementary students are back home, as are the staff. The high school teachers provided a lot of opportunities for our students in those times. They took more field trips, and boy, were they very meaningful. They went and played with the robots. They got to touch violins and do different things, go down to the print shop, learn about manufacturing and different things. So the kids really enjoyed it, and the teachers used it a lot as material to read and write about. So it was great, and of course incorporating math as well. And those students at the high school were just absolutely the best hosts that we could ask for. So they really did a fantastic job. Also offering text messaging through our school messenger services, so parents can have that opportunity, and there's been a flyer posted to Facebook. We've had a lot of positive response that the text messages are coming through. The parents really enjoy it. I myself find that the emails were really helpful, but the text messages are even better, so it's been great. Jones Elementary and Aylesworth are hosting the Love and Logic classes. As you're aware, that is dinner and also childcare. They're every Tuesday and Thursday now through mid-October, and that is in collaboration with the Greater Good for parenting tips and tricks. And that's been very well received last school year, and the parents asked that we bring it back, and it's been a steady flow, so we're really excited to offer that again. Also, homecoming, as you're aware, is next week. The Powder Puff game is Wednesday, the parade is Thursday, and we will be playing Michigan City here at home on Friday. There's a couple of other things I had.
Did we get approval for the parade?
The parade, special meeting is tomorrow.
So with anticipation that we
With
will be approved,
anticipation
the
that we
parade
will
will be
be,
Friday.
yes, well, we will have a parade Friday.
Yes.
Which streets will it be on? I'm not sure yet, but
Okay.
these kids will have a parade. And then also I provided for you this month's teen court calendar, so that you have that, this year's teen court calendar, and of course teen court will be moving forward with those, the data to provide for you this year. Well, we're also in the process, Mrs. Porter Phillips and Mr. Wilson, on how to report out for restorative justice and the various other interventions we have in place with our positive behavior planning and different things that could be reported each month as well. And then the workman's comp report is attached, and our general fund and all tax report. And that's all I got.
So with the teen court dates, there's 3 a month now. I would assume that one's a high school and one each middle school?
Yes, Mrs. Porter Phillips has since trained individuals at both middle schools to also hold teen court. We will be doing, those particular ones at this point in time will be housed. She's looking to see if we can get additional dates each month, but if not, we'll hold those in the boardroom, so it's still a very formal setting. But what she had shared with me was this would allow for students a more immediate response to being able to get involved in teen court, because fortunately, we do want those referrals to come through, and we want to respond quickly. So she had trained those middle school individuals on how to oversee teen court, and we will also be monitoring that along with her.
So
So the dates on this that we were just given, that's all for the courthouse, and anything additional will be here. Or it's
You know
gonna.
what, I will double check with her if these ones are specific to courthouse, because what she had shared was she was going to do her best to see if we could get additional courthouse dates. She may have obtained those, but I gotta double check if these are all courthouse.
Yeah, it would be good if we had the location and the time
Yes,
on this.
Okay.
The calendar would be helpful.
And I think it's gotta be at the courthouse, doesn't it, Mr. Elwood? I mean, I thought that was the whole concept, to make it the reality. You know, so there was a judge, and there was a chamber, and you had a bailiff, and you went through the security, and,
I don't know,
Can
I'll have
we
to check
make-
that.
because that was an issue that we had at one point, where they were doing it in a principal's office, and they're like, no, we can't do that.
Oh, okay.
You can't-
Okay.
You can't be judge, jury, and,
okay, and that very well could be why she was wanting to make sure she could secure the additional dates. So I will double check that that's what this is reflecting.
Do you have a time?
I will make sure that the time, I know last year's time, but I
4:30,
don't,
right?
I don't wanna give it to you
Last
in the
year's
event that it's
4:30.
changed.
Yeah.
and what about the teen court report that we asked for last year? When are we getting that?
Um,
The end of year summary, at least, since we didn't get one monthly.
Well, we switched those to quarterly last year. And we
I
did
think
get
she
one,
does a summative one.
yeah, she did it in May, and May 8th was the last one. I can put it back on here for your
Yeah, I
review.
must have missed it,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Sure,
We're just doing an update.
sure. Okay, anything else? Reports?
A lot happening, a lot of good stuff happening.
There really is, there's a lot of really.
And I'd like to, and I know, I'm sure I speak for the board, to compliment Melissa Devers Lowy for the work that she's done with the communications on social media and the press releases. She really does a good job in spreading the good news of all the wonderful things that are going on for our students in the district, so it's really great to have her doing that.
It is, and our interns are highly engaged throughout the district with principals, students, and department heads throughout the district with the directors. They were really excited to report out on the unlimited fruits and vegetables that's going to be coming out at the end of this week. They're going to have the final draft for me for the October newsletter. So I'll be able to prove that with them and review with them. But they had shared with me what those stories are gonna be in there, and they're also really excited because as they've been exploring on the district webpage, one of the new things that we have in place, there's now an app so that parents can get on and see the student menus, but also if you hover over it, it will give you the nutritional guidelines for each of those particular menu items when you're talking about children who are trying to monitor diet for medical needs or just simply a child who struggles to explore with different foods. It also has a picture. It may not be the exact picture, but if a child doesn't know the difference between popcorn chicken and chicken tenders, that can send a kindergartner into a meltdown. So parents being able to see, here's a picture and this is pretty similar. I think about autistic students that we've had that won't try anything green, but if you can show them a picture of it and say, okay, tomorrow there are gonna be grapes and green beans on the serving line. Would you like to try one of these? And here's a picture from your school that shows you. So it's pretty impressive. So the parents will have that app. They're gonna do a big push for that in the October newsletter. And then also, if you get on to our food service webpage, you'll see it, the health assistants, and their registered nurses have been thrilled because when they're trying to figure out all the calorie detail, and the sugars and all of that, it's right there for them. You used to have to get the menu each month and go into the cafeteria and write it down, handwrite each one of those. And now that's no longer the case, we've got it all digitally, so there's been a lot of good feedback on the various things that those students are working on, and quite honestly, things that we're doing in the district that I wouldn't have even known had the interns not interviewed the directors and then
Sure.
say to them, hey, look at, this is exciting, maybe you can add this into the newsletter.
Well, our food service director, I can't remember his name, but he is really
Yes.
a shaker and a
Yes.
mover and bringing us up to where we needed to be a long time ago
Yes,
with our
James.
food
Yeah,
service.
James owns,
Thank you.
the kids are loving the unlimited fruits and vegetables. They can get up to 2 of everything on their first time around fruits and vegetables. And then if they want beyond the 2, they just have to go ask. But the very first time you're in line, you can get 2 of everything unless it's a potato, because of guidelines. But anything else, you can get as much of it as you want, and the kids are really enjoying it. I mean, in particular, I was kind of shocked going to the middle school and seeing the amount of celery that kids were legitimately eating. And you know that that's not normally the case. The next thing he wants to do is make that fruit section look more like a market, like you're physically at a market.
And that's what we've seen at the
Yes, and we had that at
ISBA, where it does,
ISBA.
it looks almost like a grocery store, and
Yes.
produce, and you pick, you know, whole
Yes.
things
It's
to
like a
eat.
university cafeteria
Yes.
where they,
Mhm.
yeah,
Or just a regular cafeteria.
or yeah.
Yeah. So, there are a lot of exciting things going on there, and then we've also got, food service is working along with our least restricted students with cognitive, needs, being able to work, in particular currently at the high school, doing some of those tasks and having actual jobs within the day, to work in food service, so it's been a great addition.
I have 2 questions. With the rising number of students having allergies, especially with peanuts, I know some schools have peanut-free tables. Has that
We do.
happened here? too? Okay.
Yes.
Every building has one.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, how do our families know of students who are diabetic that they are entitled to a 504 plan?
What occurs, when we receive that diagnosis, it automatically goes to our health service director, who is Mrs. Olson, our registered nurse for the district, and she sets that up alongside with the health assistants. Yes, so it's a matter of us having the medical diagnosis and then that's put in place.
I have a couple things, going back to contracts, and, you know, this board has to approve all contracts, no matter if it's for a penny. And are we receiving them all? I noticed that you just listed a lot of things for homecoming. We have a lot of outside vendors coming in, which is a great thing for homecoming, but I have not seen those contracts. I'm hoping that they will go to Mr. Elwood. We could always approve them retroactively. But especially when we have outside vendors, we need to make sure if they're licensed, bonded, and insured, and if they're serving food, you know, what are their
Yes.
passed by? And with that being said, serving food, I seen a snow cone hut or something like that parked out in one of our schools, and it kind of surprised me because I've never seen a contract for a snow cone vendor. And once again, you know, that popped into my mind, you know, where were they from? You know, I'm sure there would be a lot of, you know, we got the truck that goes around in the city, I'm sure they'd like to park there if they had the opportunity.
Yeah,
So
and I
we
know
need to
that
check into that and then
Okay.
look into that.
Sure.
And is that truck gonna be there again until that gets looked into, or?
No.
Is that
Okay.
the Cone Ice?
It's some kind of a
I
snow
know that
cone.
the
I
Kona
know
Ice
Cone
is
Ice has
something
been to the
that's-
schools as far as that's.
Yes, they've been,
Have
and
you
I
seen
know
the
they need the,
contract?
No.
Oh.
no, I've not seen
Usually
it.
those go through the PTOs or booster clubs, so that wouldn't necessarily.
During school day?
Yes, during the school day.
They have them at their picnics, Central had
And that's
one
fine,
year at the
and I
picnic.
understand, but
The
not during
majority of
school
the time.
day. They have to come to us, those.
I don't know who's accepting the funds, whether it's PTO accepting the funds or whether it's,
So that snow cone truck, they give so much of it too.
yeah, Kona gives 20% back.
Yeah.
But if it's the PTOs accepting the funds or the booster clubs accepting the funds, it wouldn't come to us. I don't know who's accepting them.
So, Mr. Elwood, are we allowed, as PTS ownership of the property, to have a vendor parked to feed the kids, give the kids food without the school board passing the contract? Even if it goes from another, during
I think
school
you-
hours?
I think you may be getting more into school use forms.
Yeah.
or Facility use forms, but I think in any setting, if it's on our school property, it would need to be
Yes.
approved in some form or form.
Okay, thank you.
The contract itself would be with the independent PTA or the
but even liability.
The liability is what I'm worried
booster
about.
club or whatever, but yeah, from a liability standpoint.
So
we
even if
still
a
have-
club chooses to bring somebody in for an activity, you know, fundraiser, it still should come before us, even as a
Mhm.
facility use.
Facility
board.
use form,
Yeah.
yes.
And that
Okay.
definitely needs to go, because wasn't there a Nelson's Board of Pitt one up not too
That was
long
the
ago?
fireman.
Well, I think
They had
the
it
football
over
did it
here.
too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, football did.
And
Wrestling.
again, those things should happen.
Oh,
but
no,
I
they
think
should,
the
yeah,
facility-
yeah,
Right,
right,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
you need to- But if somebody gets sick, who's
Just
liable?
liability.
That's the
Right.
issue. It's on our property, and if we didn't approve it,
Right.
and, you know, we have a PTO approving it, do they have insurance to be liable? No. It's not gonna fall on them, it's gonna fall on us,
Right.
on the school district,
That's a
so.
really good point.
And then the last.
Would the facility use request form be sufficient for that type of activity? Or is it, I mean,
Need to
they
check.
hate to create more forms and paperwork, but.
You may be able to just put a little check
Well, it's
mark.
more than a
Do you have
facility use,
insurance?
it's
The
bringing in a
bigger
vendor.
issue is the serving of the food. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the facility use form would cover the liability while they're here.
Right.
But it's the serving of the food that causes me some concern that I've looked at the forms.
They should just have to be named additional insured by the insurance. If they're
Correct.
named additional insured, and that can be just a check mark on this current form that we have. It shouldn't be that big of a process to do.
I
If
think
they're
our
licensed
facility
and
use form has
insured
something
themselves
about
and bonded.
insurance. doesn't it?
Right,
Yes,
so
that
then
is
just
all
add a
there,
check
and
mark.
have
Facility
to
use
by
form
proof
does-
of
Yeah,
Right.
it deals with insurance.
before it can come before you, but, you know.
So just add a couple check boxes.
But at
to
the
it.
same time, if you're talking about a situation of serving food and you're talking about safe serve,
Right.
serve safe certifications
Yeah.
and you're so there's things that are not on that facility use
Well, they-
that would be required in those regards.
The health department shuts them down if they're not. So, again, if you just add those check boxes to the current form, it's not an additional form.
So maybe you
Maybe
need to
just
modify that
reformat it
form.
or something.
Might just have to
I mean, you don't
modify
need
that
an
form.
additional
How does the health department know where these trucks are at?
They're supposed to give them a schedule. I know when we do our events,
That's what I'm saying, so
we
that's
have
what
to
we
submit
have
to the
look
health
at.
department who's going to be there.
But
And they'll shut them, they've come and shut them down
But
before.
we have to make sure that that's happening, I guess,
Mhm.
since they're not at a physical location where they can just pop
No, I'm
in, because they
talking-
do pop in unannounced, and they
Right,
should.
and I'm talking about
Right.
like
Yeah.
vendor fairs or whatever. The entity itself should be discussing with the health department, or they get an annual one or something. But the event that we're putting on Saturday, we had to give a full list to the health department. And she's been in contact with each and every one of them.
And I don't think we're giving out a full list to our health department when they're on our
No.
property, and that's the issue, so.
Right, that, yes.
Right.
That's the issue. So my last thing that I have, I got a call, a BA from a union, that they seen a truck at a school that was not union and was not signatory. And this has happened in the past, so I have reached out to get a list of vendors that are union or signatory in our area. And with that being said, Mr. Elwood, is that something that the board can pass, or what would we do with that list as opposed to just giving it to the directors, the athletic
I think-
department,
I
all
think-
these people, you know, all these individuals who make a phone call in the middle of the night to get a, you know, refrigeration system
You can
fixed?
require that all vendors used comply with the RBO. I don't think you could say have to be union.
Okay.
That's the current state of the law, which is why all the communities have recently passed the RBO.
So I guess the
Like-
question is, you know, like ServPro, you know, they spend a lot of time in our district, they were here. You know, they call out HVAC individuals, they're non-union. What recourse does the board have to control that?
Well, so ServPro was hired in an emergency situation, not bid out,
Correct.
right? And so I think it's more professional development where our directors know what kind of vendors we wish to hire and that we want compliance with our RBO. So I think that's the answer. I think it's communication to our directors and some professional development, introducing this list, so that we can, professional vendors.
So there's nothing we would do with that, would we even
No, I-
just bring it up at a board
I
meeting?
think we could
and-
expand our RBO, because currently the
Okay.
RBO only says projects over a certain amount.
Right.
I think we could expand our
Yeah.
RBO policy to say any project.
So maybe is that something that you can contact Fagan and,
Randy.
Marcy.
Randy.
Marcy, yeah.
I think Marcy, they have that, they do the like, Kentucky, Illinois,
Yep.
Indiana, the 5 states with the RBOs, they probably already got that form done
Yep.
somewhere, yeah, we can just copy and paste it.
Good. Okay. Any other items not on the agenda? We'll talk about upcoming board meetings. We have our board meeting on September 25th. That was a date change, correct? At 5 PM. October the 8th is our discussion meeting. October 22nd is our regular board meeting, and that's the one that Mrs. Prisco and myself will not be at. I think that's it. we got some notifications and some other committee meetings. I think
Those
that
dates
some
been
dates
set?
are going around, I don't think.
I'll
they're
make
set.
sure that that is specifically sent out in an email to you. If not later this week, definitely in the board update, you will have exactly what those are.
Very good.
We have the dates you went over earlier tonight, like the robotics, the,
Yes, I will
were all
have those.
those in that same
Mhm.
email.
Yeah, and again, I know we've talked about that, Brian, I know it's hard because there's so many things going on, but any of those things that board members might be like to attend, any of those type of events and things, it'd be nice to
You know, and
get
we,
some sort of a monthly calendar
well, we've
or
got that
something.
Google list that they add them to that you have, but what I will start looking at is instead putting them into, I will screenshot the month and put it into the update.
That would be
Oh,
great.
that'd
Or the week, I'll
Yeah, 'cause
screenshot.
a lot of these
Oh, that
things-
would be, because I don't even know how to find that.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
screenshot
that
the
would be great.
upcoming week so you have it.
Okay.
That'd be good, because there's so many events
There
going on,
really
there are
are.
things that, you know,
Yeah.
And there's so many shared
we
documents.
may want to.
There really are,
see.
yes.
Yes, yeah, very good. Anybody have anything else before we adjourn? Okay, if not, meeting adjourned, thank you.